There. Perfectionism, what emerged for me in the data was that perfectionism is not about striving for excellence or healthy striving, which I'm for.
Yeah.
It's a cognitive behavioral process, a way of thinking and feeling that says this: if I look perfect, do it perfect, work perfect, and live perfect, I can avoid or minimize shame, blame, and judgment.
You know what I thought when I was reading this? I had another aha.
Two people.
This was my other aha. That perfectionism, I never gotten this before until I read this, that perfectionism is the ultimate fear. That the people who are walking around as perfectionists, who have to have everything that they are ultimately afraid that the world is going to see them for who they really are and they won't measure up.
There's no question. That's what it is for me.
That's correct, right?
That's exactly what it is.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fear.
Because it's very different than trying to be excellent and working hard and doing your best. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I call perfectionism the 20-ton shield. We carry it around thinking it's going to protect us from being hurt.
Yeah.
But it protects us from being seen. Let me tell you this real story. This just happened. I spoke at HubSpot last week. Okay, 13,000 people in this Boston Convention Center. It's like 10 minutes before I go on, and I look at Twitter, and this person sends this tweet out that says, why is Brene at HubSpot? Why is at Brene Brown at HubSpot 2015? And he had just tweeted like, love Seth Godin, love Amy Schumer, all these people, but why is Brene Brown? And I'm like, oh my God. Why am I at HubSpot? What am I doing here? And then I'm like, I start sweating, and it's like, and it's a convention center. It's like, ladies, I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? And I'm the opening keynote. And I'm like, and then he tweets it again. And I'm like, oh my God. And so I'm like, these are marketing people. I don't know anything. So I start Googling on my phone, marketing terms 2015. And wait, the first term that comes up is incentivize. I'm like, I've got to work the word incentivize into this keynote. I'm like, what does that mean exactly? I don't know, but I'm going to say, we're going to incentivize. I'm like, what is happening? And I have a total crisis of confidence. Like, because shame drives 2 tapes, not good enough, and who do you think you are? And I'm like, who am I? Right, snaps, terrible. And so then all of a sudden, I'm like, who is it? Because what happens when you get backed into a corner? My brain is making up this story. You don't belong here. I'm like, that story's not gonna work because I'm going on in 5 seconds. I'm like, okay, the best case scenario, attack this guy. Maybe attack him from the stage. Maybe use that as my opening. You maybe say like, John Doe ask what I'm doing here. Well, let me tell y'all, and then I click on the tweet to figure out what his name is, and I accidentally hit the link in his tweet, and it goes to this page that says, what is Brene Brown doing at HubSpot? She's talking about vulnerability, and that's so important. Here's her TED Talk. Here are her books. Could you imagine if I would have gone out there and been like a
dear jerk.
Yeah, totally. No, and that's a true story. It just happened. Because what happens is when something hard happens and we're captured by something difficult, our emotions get the first crack at making sense of something. A bad look, a hard phone call, a disagreement at work. We think that we're rational beings. We think that cognition is going to carry us through and make sense of it, but it doesn't. Emotions driving, thought and behavior are not even in the front seat riding shotgun. They're not even in the back seat. Thought and behavior in the trunk going, hey, and emotions driving. So the first thing we do is we tell ourselves a story that reduces ambiguity about what happened. So, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not good enough to be here. Men and women who have the greatest capacity for rising strong, in the moment something happens, they hack into that neurobiological process of making up a story. They stop and say, wait a minute, what's actually going on here? What am I feeling? What do I know for sure? Because what is a story? There's a name in research for a story that has 1 or 2 limited data points, and we fill in the rest with fear.
Wow.
It's called a conspiracy. A conspiracy is a story with limited data points. So here's what I know. I know a guy sent a tweet. I know I'm getting ready to talk. That's all I know. So now that I'm ready to ruin his career and use him as a whipping person, as I talk, what is going on? The first step of rising strong is recognize you've been snagged by emotion and get curious about it. That's it. But how many of you were raised in families where you were encouraged to get curious about your emotions and talk about them and explore them? Right? Versus how many of you were raised in families where you were taught, hey, suck it up.
Yep.
push through and get it done. So the first thing is really reckoning with emotion. What am I feeling? And what do I need to know more about? That is a huge, and so that thing that you say, like, does someone know something that I don't know? Do they have information I don't have? That's a huge part of the reckoning. We just don't do it. So in that minute, in the backstage, when I was on my phone, I could have just said, whoa, Brene, your like heart is racing, your teeth are clenched, and you're going in for the kill here. What do you know about this?
Yeah.
Nothing. You know nothing. And what if you knew everything? Who cares? Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
You know, there are 13,000 people. You're going to spend an hour targeting one guy you don't know?